All right. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Conor McGregor because in some ways it is the biggest story of the week, and it's more so an interesting exercise in how Conor McGregor is being covered this week. And I do want to get to Neil's article, but first there was more today where we are just days out from the fight in Las Vegas, and wouldn't you know it, today the New York Times had a follow-up to their report from last month where Michael Schmidt of the Times reports that according to two people with knowledge of the matter, Conor McGregor took two of the most powerful performance-enhancing drugs, anabolic steroids and human growth hormone, even after his leg healed. This follows their reporting last month, where they had stated that McGregor and his physician had sought out a therapeutic use exemption from USADA in order to use several banned substances in the healing process when he shattered his leg. But they were turned down by USADA for that TUE. And then in the New York Times reporting, they spoke with 10 sports doctors, none of whom would agree that they have ever heard of someone with that type of an injury needing these performance enhancing drugs. So that raised a red flag. I don't think anyone has any, and Conor was asked about this and basically said, listen, I didn't know what they were prescribing me. I was just worried about my leg. And it's like just the eye test alone. You have seen what this man has, how he has transformed his body in the past several years. But in this one, it just states outright, even after his leg was healed, he continued using HGH and anabolic steroids. And that one of the people said that UFC officials learned from McGregor that he had remained on the drugs because he liked how they made him feel and the energy that they gave him. During this whole period, he left the testing pool and therefore did not have to put himself into any kind of drug testing scenario. And he doesn't come back into the pool until October 2023. And during that time, they failed to locate him on 3 separate occasions and was flagged for that. But I mean, he has been tested pretty rigorously during this time and has not failed any tests. But as it has been pointed out, it is the fact that this guy did so much to enhance himself during this period that just because you are no longer using this, and human growth hormone, by the way, that's a really hard drug to detect anyway. Like, you pretty much have to know somebody is on it, and I immediately test them. Like, it's a very hard drug to detect anyway. Regardless, it's you pack on all of this weight and you can still benefit from all of this even once you get off of it. And I mean, that's, again, when it comes to Conor McGregor, I don't imagine this is going to cause the most outrage for people, but it is one other aspect to this fight in a long list of them that is, has caught people's attention. And the fact that this is the New York Times reporting on this, this is, just further, I think, putting a black mark on Conor McGregor for this return. Now, today, they did a press conference, and we actually did have a reporter that asked him about the Nikita Hand case, and Conor did give a response to the 2024 civil case where he was found liable.
Can you understand why some people feel you don't deserve this platform, given the court case 2 years ago?
I'm an innocent man, and I'll stand for my innocence until the day I go out. And that is still a situation where I fight. There's a reason it didn't go where it went, and it went to a civil trial. It is what it is. It stings deep. I continue to fight. I know the truth. And I know that lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. And I know that anything done in darkness will soon come to light. And I trust in God that it's coming. You best believe it's coming. And I look very, very forward to the day.
So in his mind, this is not over yet. I think that, he kind of didn't speak in any specifics there, but I think we will, that in November 2024, this was when a civil jury did find him liable for assaulting Nikita Hand. And despite his denials of this, McGregor attempted to appeal this, and it was dismissed in its entirety when he tried to do this. And he tried to present this new evidence, and then his side abandoned that evidence, that it was Conor he completely lost this appeal, and some of the details, and this will segue into Neil Flanagan's really excellent article, was the fact that Nikita Hand, the bruising that she was found to have had, a paramedic who examined her believed it was among the most severe bruising that she has ever witnessed. On top of that, there was, and I do give people warning about this, that we are talking obviously about very graphic details here, but I think it's important to actually state this, is the fact that they required forceps to remove a tampon that was so far dislodged inside of her as well. So Conor McGregor can maintain his innocence. He has a right to do that, but this man was found liable by a jury of his peers, and an appeal that he had stated immediately he was going to conduct, and pretty much got completely denied this appeal, that it did not have an argument to fight. With that said, it has been a case of, in this lead up to this fight way, it almost feels like this code of silence that has hit so many that are just do not want to, I don't know what it is, like ruin the atmosphere of this fight week, or dismiss the person from the fighter and just pretend like we're back in 2015 and this is back to this heyday of mixed martial arts. I'm sorry, I find this to be it's a very difficult card and subject to cover. I think, like, obviously people have to talk about the fight itself and this from that sporting side, but to just dismiss all of this other stuff, like, I just don't know how you could do that when this to me is the prevailing reputation that Conor McGregor has put on himself. Like, this has been just one of many, many, many public incidents, and it is the most harrowing of all of them. And when you look at the response in Ireland, it's, unless you are someone that is just so ride or die for this guy that you will excuse the most heinous of charges, like, that's a country that has just completely turned on this individual, that this guy would not be able to have any of these luxuries that he has been afforded here in the US in the lead up to this fight. And it was, like, surprising just the fact that a reporter today actually brought it up to him, when, to me, this is such a dominant topic that he has largely not had to answer for in any way. And I don't know why he has been afforded that luxury of not having to respond to this. And I thought it was a fair question. Like, what does afford you this platform? And it is a larger issue of just a fixation with people that are such big celebrities and stars. And if they will deliver you that entertainment, that power, there's a lot that will get excused.
Certainly. And Conor isn't the first combat sportsman to be afforded that shield, maybe you could say. I think, like, in the case of maybe America, not, and like American media not being on top of the story as much as the Irish, it's a case where I think, UFC and MMA is still somewhat on the periphery of, like, what you might consider to be like a mainstream sport or mainstream culture, and stories about these guys outside of what they do in ring don't nearly get as much coverage as as you would assume, maybe in Ireland, where he's probably a lot more than just a guy on the outside in a fringe sport. He's probably a lot bigger than that, is my assumption. And much like professional wrestling, I think, like, when you ask the average person about the UFC, I don't know how seriously they think about it from its moral and ethical sort of, like, like qualifications. Like, I just think they look at it as a form of entertainment that's like somewhat dismissible, and therefore I don't know if you'll get that sort of probing, but there has been backlash, and but enough to sway certainly like a UFC show from happening. I mean, they just did a show at the White House. You know, he's sort of protected by that too. The fact that he's within a sport where like this sort of thing is almost like, I don't want to say welcome, but it's tolerated certainly. And you also have a fan base that actually just really wants to see the fight. So they will put aside their own, whatever, moral sort of like questioning in order to just watch the fight, I think.
Yeah. I'm not drawing like distinct parallels here, but there are some that, you know, the biggest political story happening right now in the U.S. regards Graham Plattner, who has been this, for the Democratic Party, they are striving to find these candidates that are able to tap into something. And they found this individual that is very charismatic, but an extremely flawed individual. He had this tattoo that was discovered to have Nazi ties, and it was this whole push and pull of these flawed figures. And finally, this week was the breaking point when there was a rape allegation against him. And he has now had to pull out of the race in Maine. But like, that was the red line for the Democratic Party, that they could no longer stand with this guy. But it became this before this very explicit charges made against him, or accusations. Like, there were still all this like laundry list of issues attached with this guy, and the idea of, these are not perfect people, and this discussion about all of this. And I think with Conor McGregor, it's like, I think there are some that just want to either talk themselves into, it can't be true, and I'm going to stand by this guy. You don't want to believe such heinous details could be true, or you don't care. And I would hope that there's a lot less of those that just simply don't care. But I do think that's a reality for some that, listen, it's if this were some random fighter on the undercard, you'd maybe be a lot more outraged. But this is a guy that gives me entertainment, and therefore that's what I'm willing to mortgage in terms of my own ethics. I'm not buying a UFC pay-per-view to watch Model Citizens. I'm there to watch this guy cut promos on people, give me an exciting fight, and that's all I want out of this. But there's also a lot of the fan base that I like this stuff, like, is almost like it endears them to an audience. The fact that this is someone that pushes back against cancel culture, or this is a guy that is not going to be taken down by the woke left. It becomes a whole political exercise on top of it. And it becomes like a cause that you are fighting for by standing with a Conor McGregor. And you contrast this to his home country that, with few exceptions, have completely turned on this individual and look at him as like a poor representative of their country on a worldwide stage, and are turned off by this. And you can go down the list of things. This is not somebody that has just made this error in life. It has been a constant laundry list of offenses, from, striking a dude in a bar for not drinking whiskey. You could just go on and on with the assault. So this is just a whole nother level that we're talking about it. But he's a big star, and this guy will continue to be a big star. And if he finishes up at the UFC, Netflix will jump on top of him. And at least in the US, there's going to be a massive audience for this guy. This is going to be a big fight on Saturday. But it is interesting to see that it does not sound like there's anywhere near the level of fans that are traveling over that. I mean, Way, you covered them in person, that a Conor fight, the amount of Irish fans that flew over here, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be anywhere near that level of representation for this fight at this point. And it is an indication of where this guy has fallen in the eyes of his Irish fan base.
Certainly. Mm-hmm.
From Neil's article, which again I just wanted to read a portion for this. The record deserves restating anyway. Nikita Hand endured a 7-year legal ordeal and prevailed at every level available to her. A jury of ordinary Irish citizens believed her, the Court of Appeal vindicated her, and the Supreme Court ended the argument. Irish retailers cleared McGregor's products from their shelves. Irish parliamentarians refused to put his name on a ballot. Irish voters have passed on the politics he tried to import from Trump's America and sell back to them. Plenty of American fans know exactly who they are watching. The backlash to the Jimmy Fallon booking showed as much, but the organizations with the power to return McGregor to the mainstream have made their profit and loss calculations, and the machine has resumed its work with a promotion to book him, a network to host him, a sports book to pay him, and come Saturday, an arena to cheer him. I really encourage people to read this article that Neil Flanagan wrote that has been circulated all over by people that have read it. Just a really excellent, well thought out piece from Neil that is lives in Northern Ireland. So he is speaking from a firsthand account of what he has observed as someone that's kind of on the periphery of mixed martial arts. But I just thought nailed on so many points in this really fantastic article that he has up on the site.
Great job by Neil, and bringing important perspective in ways that certainly we wouldn't otherwise be faced with, as in our space, certainly. So really important work, and it's the type of work that I think even people outside of combat sports should be reading.
It's July on the Post Wrestling Cafe, and that means our extensive G1 coverage begins starting July 11th. We're going to have reviews of every single G1 card right up to and including the finals in the middle of August. Plus, Rewind Away takes a look at 2 episodes of Heels. We're also going to be going back to 2005 for a review of WrestleMania 21, and it is the start of our double shot episodes covering this season of Dark Side of the Ring. Plus, we are going to dive into the 3rd season of WWE Unreal. All that and so much more can be yours by signing up to the Post Wrestling Cafe. It gets you XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, Collision Course on a weekly basis, MCU later, and so much more.